Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Well, this could be interesting. Today what I want to do is kind of recap and continue with one previous video and continue those ideas and expand on them, bringing in past videos I've done to try to pull it all together and make sense what's going on. I did a video called What Makes Megan Tick. And in that video, I explained my theory of what I think, how this all started. And I think it started with Thomas Markle. You know, what's the cost of a couple of Emmys? Your kid. That's the cost. And I talked about the programming. We know Disney and the Monarch programming and all of those kinds of things. Thanks Britney Spears, Katy Perry, this kind of, and they had controllers, you know, is all. But there's other kinds of programming as well. You know, whether it's trauma based or sex based or what the programming and what the use of this person is. You see, this is not just a random, oh, how could that happen? You're talking out of your ass. No, this is actually common, and we see it time and time and time again, and we know about this. We know the FBI and other agencies program, train, and run agents for all kinds of things. There's patsies, there's, you know, straw men, they hang somebody out. Limited hangouts, there you go. It's a whole, man, they would call conspiracy theory. No, you know what? It's the way things are run. And I really believe at some point Thomas Markle was brought in and being managed, and I think Megan was groomed from a very early age for a type of role, perhaps even a particular task, you know. And I think this is why things are so shady with her childhood and university records and things like this, because as you know, whether it's witness protection or these agents, and I've listened to some real previous agents talk. Go if you go like YouTube, even the Spy Museum, they have lectures all the time, and they have people that have participated in a life of spying and things like that, and the things they will tell you, and how they were brought in, and how they were managed, and every it's and what they can do. And this is just the stuff they can tell you. So I mean, what I'm talking about is real. It really happens. People are recruited for all kinds of reasons. And you see, this is what, and this is, I've said this in 3 or 4 my video, Useful Idiots, talking about Harry and Meghan being brought in by someone or some agency and being handled and managed for a particular purpose. I've been talking about this for a long time, going back to some of my very earliest videos, the Soho House Connection, where I was first starting to put the threads together about what I think is going on with Meghan. That's where it started. And wow, that is another huge connection we're going to get to in a few minutes. We're just kind of leading you through this. So yeah, we have perhaps her father, the price of a couple Emmys brought in, the whole Doria and Meghan's childhood. Everything is really shady, and I think that's for a reason. Um, Kind of post university years with Meghan, she goes into acting, right? And a few roles here and there, they tend to be sort of sex kitten roles, which, you could say perhaps the programming, perhaps that's just all she was good at. You never know. We don't know. We're just guessing. I'm just trying to put it together, but there's some very strong evidence for, let's say, management very early on with Meghan. Now, we know at this time when she was a young actress, there's the allegations, everybody's pretty sure she was a yacht girl, which is basically an actress for hire. That there's a thing called Yacht Week, I think, in the Mediterranean, and basically, your rich, horny guys can rent women to go on a boat for a week and keep them company. And I guess it's just a matter of what the girls will do, right? And that's not uncommon. That is well known. That is a well known thing that happens. And so it is heavily speculated that Meghan was a yacht girl. It is also heavily speculated, and there's pictures going around that show her with Prince Andrew. Now, some people are saying, is that her? Is it not her? You can't really tell. Um, we do know through different investigators and things that there are texts and emails that have surfaced regarding Prince Andrew attending, a yacht weekend event thing where there was girls for hire present. Was Meghan one of them? We don't know, but it would certainly, well, it first of all, it tells us one thing. You know, it it tells us that Andrew, perhaps not in a criminal way, but he was messing around. We know that. Now, did Meghan have first contact with him? She might have. Would she have known who he was? Indeed, she would have. Because we're going to circle back again to like junior high school years, and what I suspect is a little bit of, if not downright programming, certainly some influence from somewhere. Remember those pictures of Meghan and her friend at the gates of Buckingham Palace? Remember interviews and different that she and with friends of hers, and she was obsessed with the royal family. She loved Diana. She was obsessed with them all. She knew them all. When we get to her engagement interview and she's, I didn't know anything about him. I had to Google him. I didn't know. Right? But then she belies herself in their Netflix crapumentary where she's talking about being on the phone to her mother. Going, Mommy, guess who I'm dating? Prince Harry. And she's going, Prince Harry. So they both knew who it was. So she was lying in the engagement interview. I mean, we knew this. We knew for a fact. Before she was 16 years old, she'd been to England at least once, been in the proximity of the palace. We know from historical interviews with friends of hers at the time that she was just obsessed with Diana and the royal family. So, back to the yacht girl times. and a prospective encounter between her and Andrew, she would have known who he was. She would have known all about it. Now, here's the thing. Just this girl that nobody knows anything about, real obscure girl, California, mixed race, just happens to land a prince? Oh, but don't you know, it was like a dream come true from the time she was 6 years old. She was talking about being a princess. This is what she was gonna be. She knew it. Somebody else had an experience like that and didn't need a friend to tell you. She told us herself. Another young, impressionable girl that knew Andrew. In fact, they were the same age. Princess Diana. Charles was 13 years her senior yet when she was even in like grade 5 at her boarding school. Whose picture did she have in her locker? Prince Charles. What did she say to everybody someday? Oh yeah, I'm gonna get married in Westminster Abbey. Her sisters called her Dutch, short for Duchess. Everybody knew something. Everybody knew something. Diana even said that she never really dated much before Charles. She, had friends but no real boyfriend. And in her words, quote, I kept myself tidy because I knew that it had to be that way. I knew there was something important coming. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something. Now, isn't that odd? Two girls from across the world that just happen to have the same thoughts, the same experiences, the same feelings, and the same motivations. I just find that interesting. But back to Meghan. Yacht Girls, maybe she knew Andrew. So from the Yacht Girl days, and I believe she was still doing that a bit when she was in Toronto. But while she was in Toronto, of course, she's trying to foster relationships with people high on the social ladder, like Ben Mulroney and his wife, who became a very good friend of hers, a stylist for a time, attended the wedding, until they had a falling out. Or was it so much a falling out as because the way it happened, and that other influencer and the texts were sent, it just seemed so out of character for everybody. But anyway, was that staged to happen to kind of move away from Meghan now or something? Who knows? But the time that she was here in Toronto, she was protected. I mean, an ex-prime minister's daughter-in-law is her best friend. So she had inner circle access. And, who knows what she may have done while she was an actress in Suits. This is the thing. I think there's a whole lot more going on. She may or may not be conscious of exactly what she's doing, but that's kind of the thing. And then what happens? where does she kind of land? Where does her social circle coagulate? What a nasty word, but Soho House. Now, I've told you about Soho House. My videos, Soho House Connection, very important. You've got to watch those. Who is the master of, customer procurement for Soho House International? Well, it just happens to be Marcus Anderson, Megan's best friend. We've seen them together many, many times. I said right at the beginning that I thought he was her handler. Now, here's the thing. The Soho House connection. You say, well, Yacht Girl, Toronto, what's happening with Soho House? Soho House, in my researched opinion, is an establishment set up for and catering to the elite. It's not just a private dinner club for rich people. Stuff goes on. You can put in an order, What is it? Do you want a blonde? Do you want a brunette? What do you want? And what do you want them to do? So Marcus lures Megan, knowing, because they always know, because Marcus was brought in himself. I'm pretty sure, and I'll tell you more connections in a minute. So Marcus brings in Megan to work for and take advantage of the social scene in Soho House. Sometimes she was an employee, sometimes she was a client, and she was good friends with Marcus. Now, the internet, so we've got Megan, who's had an obsession with royalty since she was a wee girl, now in the place at the time where she will have access. And wouldn't you know, the guy that's her contact, Marcus Anderson, well, Marcus Anderson was born in a little town about 50 miles from here called Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. Way back when, I think it was 1974, Prince Andrew, it was 74 or 75, it's all in my earlier videos. Prince Andrew was sent over to attend a year of college at a college up in Peterborough. Now, they had sent Charles to Australia for a year. It looks good to send one of the royal boys to a Commonwealth country for some education. I mean, we know that it's not really an education, it's for show, but, that's what the royals do. So anyway, Andrew's over here in Peterborough. Well, don't you know, he lasted one term, 3 months. People still talk about it here, though you probably never heard the story in England. Andrew was quickly rushed home to England upon evidence of the incident had surfaced that he had gotten a young girl from a neighboring school pregnant. Story is that they paid off the family and hustled Andrew the hell back to England. Now, less than a year later, guess who's born? Marcus. Marcus Anderson. Andrew's son. Grows up in small town, sort of central Ontario. And don't you know, when he's 18, he gets an urge to just up and go to London. That is just ridiculous. He'd go to Toronto or Vancouver. He wouldn't go to, what does a small town mid-Ontario boy doesn't, not Ontario, not England. But so inexplicably, yeah, he goes to England, he starts washing dishes and this and that, and he gets brought in by the man who develops Soho House and brings Marcus up through the ranks till he's head of customer procurement or whatever his title, international customer relations or something. He knows everybody. He knows what everybody wants. He gets everybody what they want. And he operates behind the scenes, but boy, I bet that guy knows a whole lot about a whole lot of people. But you see, Marcus has run himself, his little agenda, his role in the whole thing. He's performing a function for the whole thing. Now, there's connections through all of this. There's connections I have talked about. One of the main investors in Soho House was a business partner from Jeffrey from the Island. You know, the math teacher that somehow inexplicably overnight became, a hedge fund billionaire. Just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Could it be he was another agent? Yeah, there's been wide speculation and a lot of research done to show that Jeffrey from the Island was probably an agent, and his job was to entice some very rich, powerful people and put them in, give them what they want. But put them in very compromising positions. Should influence need to be made later on at some point? That was Jeffrey's role. And for that, he got everything he wanted. And he had a handler too. The man that set them all up and set them up with all the money. And you know what? They're all connected to Soho House. What comes around goes around, and I've told you before that kind of stuff, that's the currency of the elite, and that's how they operate. And entities like the alphabet letter agencies and the security agencies, they've run agents and programs and people for all kinds of reasons for lots and lots of years. And I really think that we've stumbled onto something here. I think we've stumbled onto something here. And Harry's just as much a useful idiot as Meghan is. I mean, his ties to the World Economic Forum, and his handlers in the States. I mean, it almost makes sense. Like, it's so obvious, it's in our face now. And this is why nothing with the two of them have ever made sense. That's why not one picture's ever been able to be authenticated. It's because it's all window dressing. It's, and I think, they've got it. They've got it. They've got, two programs going at once. We got Harry, World Economic Forum, fronting the globalist plan, and you got Meghan, who could single-handedly take down the royal family. We're only one plane crash away from the throne, as she's alleged to have so boldly have said. I just think it's a whole thing. And from 2 years ago, when I started looking at Soho House and those connections and like, what's up with Meghan? I mean, I was talking about it 2 years ago. Go back and watch those videos. But, it's all coming together. And as we get more details, it gets more murky, because we're like, well, what's the real point of all of this? If it is some kind of big operation, and it's sort of, 3D chess, or I've called it before a big game of Risk. Do you remember that game? It's a big game of Risk, and all these big entities that any one of them could easily step in and run the world. They're all fighting against each other, and that's what's happening. And and I really think that Meghan for sure and Harry as well are useful idiots being managed for a particular agenda. But the danger therein is at the point that they become a liability to the plan, perhaps, then I think there's a danger there for them. We have to wait and see what happens. We have to see if any of my thoughts can be confirmed. I think, we've got some pretty strong evidence for what I'm saying. Now, I want to know what you think. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe, share this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.